and welcome to a series of interviews on the lead up to Tilton Tap 2. My name is Mr. Cookie, and I'm joined by a real rising star in the West Midlands scene, Koenji. How you doing, mate?
I am doing great. How are you doing, friend?
It's been really good. It's been a solid start to the week, and the event's drawing a lot closer as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And we've been doing this interview series for a while as well, and I've been dying to get you on here for a while now. So I'm glad the stars have aligned. So I,
That's good.
I always
Yeah, you caught me at a good time, basically. But yeah, it's just like I'm obviously in the middle, as I said before, between like a game jam. But
mm,
yeah, I could still have time to do this,
Hey, it's
basically.
always welcome, bud. And I always like to start off these sort of player interviews by asking like, the origins of like, you as a competitor and as a fighter. So, what were some of your like early memories of like fighting games? Like, how did you kind of get into the scene from that sort of nascent? I play fighting games with my friends and my cousins and family to I want to start going to events. What was the kind of nexus for you?
So originally I didn't really have like like for a lot of people they kind of like grow up playing fighting games.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, for me, I played a lot of Sonic. I didn't really care much about fighting games. Um, but that was until basically I started, for example, seeing like gameplay footage of like I saw a video of like people using like the Spartan character in Dead or Alive 4. And at the
Okay.
time I was playing a little bit of Halo and I was like, whoa, this is like really cool, right? So I was like, what the hell is this, right? And I ended up buying Dead or Alive 4 and
Mm.
like playing that a bit. Obviously only as the Spartans, but I was like, this is kind of cool. And then somehow that trickled on to me eventually getting Soul Calibur 4.
Okay. Okay.
I had Soul Calibur 4 for like almost 2 months. I got it as basically like a Christmas present.
Yeah.
And then 2 months after that, Soul Calibur 5 came out. So this was like Christmas of 2011. Soul Calibur 5 came out like February 2nd, like 2012 or whatever, right?
Mm.
In Europe. And I started playing Soul Calibur 5 and I was like, nah, this game is like hella addictive, right? So I just kept
Yeah.
playing that over and over and over. Um, I ended up like obviously not knowing at the time because obviously I was like, 12, just kind of like playing it on and off after school, right?
Hmm.
I didn't know, for example, I was playing against people like Zero
Yeah.
or
Oh.
like Andy Rue and all that stuff at the time. Um, and I didn't know anything about frame data or any of that stuff, but I
Hmm.
was just
Hmm.
like, playing on like instinct, playing on feel. It's like, oh, if I do this move, I will die if I do this move. So like,
It's
let
my
me
turn.
not do this move. Yeah, yeah. Now it's my turn. If I do a break attack, okay, I can like push offense and all that stuff. That was like my first sort of like introduction into that. Basically.
Mm.
Um, and for games like for like Tekken and stuff in particular, um, I tried a bit of Tag 2 at the time because Tag 2
Yeah.
came out that same year. I tried it. I thought Tekken was horrible. I thought it was a bad game.
You may be right. You might have been retroactively right with how season
I
two
thought,
is.
yeah, I thought it was a terrible game. And I ended up selling it as well.
Mm.
But then obviously T7, um, obviously years down the line, T7 was basically, um, not on the verge of coming out, but like it was like available in like, in Japan and like
Yeah. Yeah.
Korea, right? So like I was seeing footage of that and I was like, wow, I really want to play this game, but obviously they had that game for like a year and a half, and then eventually it was the time for, you know, people that only had like consoles at home were like able to play the game,
Mm.
basically. And that was when I started to like, try out Tekken, and I was like, you know what, this game is actually kind of fun. And then, play it more and more basically, and I just got hooked ever since playing Tekken pretty much. So that's why I play it now to this day, even though season two is questionable, but I still enjoy playing Tekken basically. So
I think there's something to be said. Like, you mentioned about like guest characters kind of drawing you in. Now,
yeah,
Soul Calibur 4, did you have the Xbox or PlayStation version of that?
I had the 360 version. I did not really play much fighting games on my PS3 at the time.
So did Soul Calibur did Soul Calibur 4 was Darth Vader exclusive to the PS3 version and Yoda was exclusive
Yeah,
to the Xbox? That's such a
yeah, you got it right.
stupid fucking thing to do because like just it's like Pokemon Red and Blue like making exclusive, but you have to get a whole nother ass console just to have
So
the.
to get it, I mean, to be fair, they did, they did think about it, and they were like, okay, you can pay like $3.99 for the other character or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that was like later on.
Yeah,
I didn't have that game at launch, right? And
yeah.
even then as well, I didn't really get the opportunity to play that game much online. So I didn't even know you could buy Darth Vader as
Mm.
well at the time. But yeah, he is he is a character you can buy on that version, and obviously on PS3 you can buy Yoda.
Because like I remember seeing that like during my when I was going to the shops with my mum or something, like the food shop, and just going to like Morrison's
Yeah,
and seeing like Soul Calibur 4 on there and thinking like I don't know what Soul Calibur is. Like I never played the 2 or 1 or 3, but then you see Darth Vader and it's like ooh,
smack bang on the cover. Yeah,
and it's like they do exactly what the fuck they were doing there. It's like one of the most recognizable like media faces period. And I was like,
yeah.
oh, okay. And I hesitate to say that I played much of that game. That was like a relatively early experience of like fighting games for me. But like I was going around
Mm.
school saying like, oh, I've been playing Soul Calibur 4. It's got Darth Vader in it. Like no other kind of like qualities as in oh yeah it's got swords instead of like just punches and kicks instead of like Tekken and Street Fighter or whatever and it's like no, there's swords. It's just there's fucking Star Wars
There's
characters in
just
here.
Darth Vader. Yeah, man. And it's like, I mean, even that as well. Like, it got my sister, for example, to play Force Unleashed because I mean, even Starkiller is in that game as well, right?
Mm,
So like, eventually, my sister played the second Force Unleashed game, so not the first one. But um, she absolutely loves that game.
mm,
Also, really fun fact with that game as well.
okay.
Starkiller, like his first sort of actual like playable appearance was in Soul Calibur 4. It wasn't actually in Force Unleashed 1.
I always love stuff like that. Like, oh, what was the first game that Roy from Fire Emblem appeared in? Oh, it was Melee. Like, it was just
Yeah.
or stuff like that. And I often do bemoan like guest characters a little bit. This is more so of a personal thing because like
Yeah.
we all understand the reason they're in the game. It's for promotion
Yep.
reasons, whatever odd, but it works. It's
Yeah, it does work.
consistently worked, and we wonder, Mortal Kombat, even though the state of the series is a bit iffy at the moment, like
Yeah.
it's still outsold. Mortal Kombat 1 still outsold all of the other current fighters at the moment by a wide margin, and it's like that's the one that people aren't buying and playing and all that stuff. Or no, people
Yeah.
are buying and playing it, but on a much more casual sort of basis. Um,
Yeah.
can you sort of like, obviously having not grown up playing fighting games, which or playing with your family and cousins, etc. as well. What are your sort of
Yeah.
early memories of like events that you started to go to? When you sort of like took that sort of budding love of Tekken 7. What sort of were the events like when you started going to them?
Okay, so for Soul Calibur, sadly, I didn't have the opportunity to obviously play that game
Hmm.
like offline. But yes, for Tekken, the earliest sort of event I can remember for like Tekken 7 is when the game wasn't out yet,
Mm-hmm.
and they basically had it at EGX in Birmingham
Okay.
when obviously EGX was still in Birmingham back then. Um, and they basically had like a massive sort of booth set up with like a bunch of copies for like T7.
Mm.
Um, and that was like my first time getting to like properly play the game, and they also had like a tournament for that game, right? I played in the tournament for that. Can't remember what position I came in. I didn't win it, but it was either like third or like second or something, right? But like I had an absolutely fun time playing it. I was like, oh, competing is kind of fun, you know. Um, and that was kind of like my first sort of like, you know, um, like earliest like offline showing basically, like
Mm.
going offline to actually play the damn game basically. Um, I'm trying to think of like my first BSF. Not the one that was in. So before they started moving it to like before they moved it to the Millennium Point,
Mhm.
it was like the
Mhm.
one before like the first Millennium Point one.
Mhm.
That was
Okay.
the first VSF that I went to. And I went there to play like Street Fighter 5 initially, not actually Tekken. But that was also like my first sort of like VSF, and then after that one, I was like, I absolutely loved my time I've had at this tournament. I was like, I'm gonna come back to this basically like, every year, and then I've literally just been back to it every year basically since 2017, pretty
It
much.
it's such a. I mean, bearing in mind we do both of us live in the West Midlands. It's such a convenience and so nice knowing that like the major of the United Kingdom is in like a 30-minute train ride for us. Like
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
it's so nice. It's just like obviously it gets thousands of people every year from all sorts of all countries, all the regions you can possibly think of, and it's
Yeah,
I can drive 10 minutes to a train station and get a half-hour train, and I'm basically there. Like it's just I'm so happy that it's not only just as it's grown in terms of scope
mm.
and prominence and the games featured. Like we see it go from strength to strength basically every year, and a lot has changed over the last. What iteration are we on now? Is it 13? Is it 13?
I think it might even be
Yeah.
might even be more than that. Yeah, wait. No, it is 13, I'm pretty
So
sure.
across 13 years, everything that's gone on with the FGC in the meantime, like all of the different games we've had, all of the different personalities that have came up, all the different countries and regions that have came into prominence. It's so
Mm.
nice that Birmingham is still the home. Like it's not moved over.
Yeah,
It's not moved over to London where scope could be bigger. It's like this is where it is, and
yeah.
it's yeah. Selfishly aside, being a West Midlander and a Wolvo boy, I just hope it stays in Birmingham forever. Like it's just
No,
got
yeah,
such a nice home.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I like as well that not only has it stayed in Birmingham, but it's like as soon as they found like basically their home in terms of location, right? It's basically been that location now for, the past 7 years basically.
Yeah.
Um, and that in itself is like really cool. I was saying to like a couple like I was saying to like Cloud for example, um like obviously that the VSF that came around recently, right?
Yeah.
um that I versed, obviously I played against Eddie, and the last time I played against Eddie was in 2017 in
Ooh.
the same venue basically. And it's like that's the fact that it's been like that long, right? But it's like it's still been in the same exact location is quite crazy to think of, in that sort of sense.
That's some kind of anime plot twist where it's like, here we are again. Same venue,
Yeah,
so many years
it's the
later.
exact same location. Yep.
So, just speaking about this year's VSF as well, I mean, it was just a rip roaring event as well. But we need to obviously just talk about your performance as well because I think it goes without saying this was like a real breakout sort of event for you, and
Yes,
make it
easily. Yeah.
yeah, and it's fantastic seeing you and the boys do so well. What were your kind of thoughts as you started progressing through to day one, day two, then to top eight? What were your kind of like emotions feeling like throughout?
So usually like how it's kind of been over the years for Tekken is um like initially it was obviously like difficult for me to get to like the next day, right?
Yeah.
um but I found basically a way of comfortably getting in onto the next day. So I got onto the next day for the tournament. I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then usually it's like, okay, like I'll play against, for example, like two players, and that would be kind of like that my demise, right? Usually on the second day.
Mhm.
But there were some really strong players obviously that I versed, and not only was I taking like rounds off them, but like it ended up being like games and then like the actual full set. And I was like, whoa, this is like really crazy and kind of like, like a surreal thing that I've basically kind of like played this game for so long and have
Mm.
like basically like the amount of effort I've basically put into it has kind of paid off in terms of me basically beating these people that are considered some of the best players in Europe,
Mm.
you know? So, and then obviously versing Eddie, who at that point in time was basically kind of like the person that was, people thought he was going to win the tournament
Yep.
because of his, previous placing at, what was it, Hessen Clash? I mean, he won. He won that tournament, right? So
Yeah.
like, even that was like, oh my god, this is, this is going to be like a very difficult match. But winning that was absolutely crazy, absolutely surreal, and then experiencing being in the top 8 stage,
Yeah.
actually
Like,
being on the top 8 stage was something that I didn't think I would ever be able to like properly like experience, especially for a game like Tekken, because again, Tekken is like next to Street Fighter, it's like the second most stacked bracket
yep.
at VSF. So I was like, okay, maybe for like, insert small game here. If I play this small game, yeah, I might get like that top 8 experience, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but for like Tekken, oh my god, it was crazy. It was very beautiful experience.
I think like if you were to enter something like, I mean, if we're talking smaller brackets, if you enter something like, I think Dragon Ball was like 100 people this year, I think, or
Yeah,
maybe not that far off. Some of your more older titles like Super Turbo, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Games that aren't like
yeah,
your the big ones, your
yeah,
Strives, Street Fighter, Tekken. You could think, all right, yeah, I got top 8 in something that I do on the side. Like I know Third Strike is still mega popular, but in terms of
yeah.
banner games, you know what I mean? And like,
Yeah, and the players aren't any like they're not a joke in that as well. They are crazy in that as well.
dude,
In
like
third strike and then super turbo. Oh my god, you don't want to mess with them.
I muck around with Third Strike every now and again, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! Like I can see the uphill battle from the get go, and when I see really good people play, I'm like, oh, I mean, dude, I
Yeah.
mean, never mind. I'm hoping that that Dragon Ball gets like a breath of fresh air with the new character, because Jesus Christ, that
Mm.
game's never gonna die. Like,
People thought it was dead. It's not actually dead. It's never gonna die. It's I mean, a strap to arc system works now, so
there's there's only two things that are going to survive the nuclear like apocalypse: cockroaches and Dragon Ball, specifically Xenoverse. Xenoverse 2 is going to outlive the universe. They'll still be updating that game in years. So like
yeah, that game has been out for 10. Has that game been out for 10 years?
I
Let me check on Steam real quick.
I was chatting about, because like one of the other guys in the Wolf Pack is a massive Dragon Ball fan, and the group chat we have, like, there's a Dragon
Mm,
Ball related topic every week or so, and like uh Kojak, so you know as well, is really, really big into like Fighter Z2. And it was
mm,
so great seeing just a fan of the anime and a fan of the manga and a fan of the fighting game specifically being popping off. It's like, yes, fucking go.
mm.
Like, yeah, I I'll give it an earnest shot. But like I was gonna say, for the auditorium experience, which, obviously not everybody can get into the auditorium for the experience of just, watching top 8 and having that
Yeah,
experience. But um, we've had a couple of experiences that before. What was the kind of nerves that you were feeling on the stage? That's an experience that even fewer people get to experience, isn't it?
I so so here's the funny thing, right?
Okay.
So at this point now, I've played in a handful, like a decent, healthy handful of offline tournaments. So in
Mhm.
terms of like tournament nerves in offline tournaments, I am, I'd say I'm pretty decent, pretty solid.
Yeah.
Um, I can basically execute my game plan without really worrying, you know, like worrying about the fact that people are like watching me or whatever, right? So that's not really like a big issue, right? Until I played on that stage and I was like, oh my god, I am so scared right now. So like I was trying to do like basic combos and I was dropping like basic combos and I was like, oh my god, my nerves are like going crazy right now because it's not like before it'd be like okay like a handful of people, right? Or like
Yep.
even if it's like a venue of like like a high number of people, right? um it's not on a stage with like the sound booming and like the people are literally just like like screaming your support out basically. It's a different feeling, but like after the first game I played I was like, yeah, no, I like instantly I got used to it, and I was like, yeah, this is sick.
I
This is
always
so damn cool.
I always do love it when you have when the nerves hit and it matters because it's like that. You know, like when you become all fingers and thumbs and you start dropping those basic combos. It's like
Yeah.
when you have those dreams where it's like win a game of Tekken to save your family's life, and you just cannot do it. You're like, come on, I've been doing this combo for like 5 years.
Yeah, basically, no,
Mm.
that's how that's how it was.
So, di-
I remember I tried to do like a basic war combo, and for some reason I got like it was it was at the end of the round when I was versing was it Josh TQ,
mhm.
and I did like part of my 10 hit combo, and I was like, I've never done this in my life. Like, what? Why am I trying to do a 10 hit combo? Luckily, it killed, but like, I was so scared.
did you know the amongst your the top eight entrants, you had Cloud and Richie too, who
Yeah,
you all go to events together as well, go to the same locals, and more
yeah,
often than not, you are going to encounter each other at some point as well. And obviously, with this being such a big event for everybody,
yeah.
did it make any real difference to you, say, thinking, I know who I know who I am going to play, and I've played them before. Were the nerves still that overpowering, where the stakes were just that much higher? It still affected you a bit.
Honestly, not when I was versing my boys. It
Mm,
literally just felt like I was playing a Foundry match. So it didn't really, I didn't really feel that sort of like stress, and especially because like like in the top eight matches that I played against them. So in the top eight match that I played against Richie, it was for like, third place, right? So
yeah.
at that point in time, like my nerves were quite settled in that situation. Um, like, that was fine.
Mm,
That was fine. It was basically like if I was literally just sitting down at the at the setup, in the room of like in the room underneath Retro, and was like, yeah, just playing a match there.
mm. Same old, same old. Come on, let's get this going then. Yeah, I get
Mm-hmm.
that. How's your sort of, you've talked about how you've been playing Tekken for years and years and such, and you've seen consistent improvements for a while. How has your game plan sort of changed and adapted to not just like, going from 7 to 8 in season one to season two? How have your sort of like plans changed with the game and the future it's going in?
Okay, so before in Tekken 7, I had like 6 characters I used to play.
Mm.
Um, Roughly around 6 characters. I used to play like Lucky Chloe,
Of course you played Lucky fucking
Alyssa.
Chloe. Of course you
Yeah,
fucking did.
I mean, she was like breakdancing and like doing like spins and all that stuff, and I was like, yo, I love rhythm games.
Oh, you're
Like
gonna
she
be
has like, hmm?
You're going to be loving the new one that does. Is it Mary Zhao? That's I've not paid attention
Yep,
to the trailers.
I am interested in playing her, right? So she is probably gonna be a character I'm gonna be whipping out at locals as well.
Hundred
But
percent.
yeah, like I was playing Lucky Chloe, Alyssa, Noctis, Konomitsu. Who else? There was like some other characters while I was playing, but like I was rotating between all these characters, right? And I didn't have yeah, Julia as well. I
Mm,
remember. So it was 5 characters. And I was rotating between these characters, right? Because I was like, I didn't really have like a character I really could associate with, right? So in terms of like, like if someone asked me, for example, what's my Tekken 7 main, I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly who my Tekken 7 main is, right?
mm,
Um, Maybe it was Noctis because he was the last character that I ended up playing, but like honestly, yeah, I couldn't tell you, right? Um, and in terms of like kind of like practice and all that stuff, I would like first people um every now and again and all that stuff, and obviously like play ranked and all that stuff. But I didn't really have sort of like a like kind of like a training regimen or any of that
mm,
stuff, right?
mm.
And one of the things I wanted to do straight out the gate for T8 was, okay, I really want to like properly learn how to play this game.
Yeah.
And for me, that sort of way of kind of like approaching that for me was, for one, sticking with a single character. So that's why outside of like, you know, every now and again I might play in locals, right, for the brackets, right? I might kind of like swap between characters.
Yeah.
every single tournament match that I basically play, I will always pick Azucena because that is the character I lab situations with. That is like the character I literally live and die with, right? Even if it's a matchup that is on paper like a terrible matchup or like a rough matchup for Azucena, I will not switch characters because, you know, I can, there's other ways in Tekken where you can kind of like you can navigate a matchup, right? Even if it's like a quote unquote bad matchup, right?
Yeah,
It's not like Street Fighter 4 where it's like a Gen versus like Zangief situation, right? There's no matchups like that
yeah.
in, in like Tekken 8. But, you know, even if there's like weaknesses, there's still ways to kind of like, navigate around it, right? Classic example, right? You're versing Azia with Azucena, right? If you do any sort of low with Azucena, you're getting launched
Yep.
against Kazuya, right? Except for down four. So when I'm playing against Kazuya, well, I have down four as an option. That is the low I'm gonna live and die by basically when I'm versing Kazuya.
This is the button.
And then yeah, this is the button I'm gonna use every single time I want to low poke you. This is the button I'm gonna use, right?
Mm.
And and that's basically like the thing that I follow for like all the other characters that have like, for example, like as you're saying, it has like a quite kind of like a hole in her sort of game plan, right? It's like we just patch up the hole, go for another option, right? In
Yep.
terms of like how I kind of like navigate it, right? I don't opt to switch to another character. And in those previous games, I would opt to switch to another character in those situations. But yeah, I don't do that anymore.
I think like
And
you really nailed something that was fantastic there.
yeah,
To mention that is that unlike Street Fighter, outside of like some very obnoxious instances, it's you can make characters work in Tekken. You can make them
yeah,
work, and I dabble like a little bit in like most modern games, like
yeah,
on a very sort of casual level, and it was when mine's gone completely blank. It was when
mm,
Sagat released for Street Fighter 6, and
yeah,
all of the grappler mains, so Manon mains and Zangief mains and Big Body and Marissa as well, mentioned about this matchup is awful. Like
yeah,
it's so bad because you just cannot get within range. Like he's going to consistently outpoke you. It's
yeah,
possible, but it's really, really hard to do. And
yeah.
I don't think that those matchups are as prominent in Tekken, because a character's going to
No,
get launched within most regions the same way as somebody else's. And
yeah,
I generally as well, I'm quite basic when I play my games. I'll go through the roster once or twice, and I'll just pick one character and think, all right, I vibe with them.
yeah,
I get a vibe for them, and then I'll make that character work for me. And I think that's where a lot of difference really does show, where you hone what you've learned from all of the other characters that you've played. You just pick one, and this is the character I'm going to go as. I don't care how bad this matchup is. I don't
yeah,
care how rough this first game went. I am going to stick with this character. And you
yeah.
just get more comfortable with them. You learn them. It just becomes like a
I mean, you
well,
grow with them in a way,
yeah,
right? So, and that's I that sort of like I've never, because obviously I was kind of like darting between characters, right?
mm,
In T7, I never actually had that opportunity to just grow with a character.
yep,
Um, and just kind of sort of like find, for example, the way how I want to play that character.
mm,
In comparison to other people, right? It's like I have my own way of kind of like approaching neutral with her compared to how, for example, Neon K plays the character. Um, and like how like Evil 46 plays the character, and like other players that also pilot Azucena.
mm,
Fusion plays her differently as well. Fusion is a top level NA player for Azu.
mm.
Um, but yeah, it's I found my own way of kind of like approaching her, and I just stuck with it and didn't change characters. And doing that, um, I feel like that helped a lot, kind of like really sort of push my sort of my skill level in Tekken. But I am interested in Mari, so I might, put maybe like a new year, a new character,
New year,
shift
new
that
me.
to, yeah, basically, because I mean, now it would be playing 2 years of Azucena, which is kind of crazy. So
I know.
shifting that to be, something fresh, for the new year would be kind of cool. So
Because I was gonna say, speaking of the new year, as of recording, God, Armor King releases tomorrow, doesn't he? Is it tomorrow?
yeah, um, tomorrow slash today. So
Oh, oh, okay. I'm gonna update my PS5 once this is done. Um, but you know, we're gonna be, and we know the rest of the roadmap for season two, and generally speaking, we also know what we're going to expect out of season two. Have you got like any hopes for the way that the game is going to be going as we lead into season three? And have you got any new or returning characters you'd love to see appear in season three and beyond?
so I thought, so for like season one, there was aspects of the game that I enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just because it was kind of like it was such like a different experience to what I was kind of used to in terms of like playing T7, right?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously heat was an issue, chip was an issue in that season, and like amongst like other things, right? Um, I was basically like, okay, when season two comes about, I'm hoping they're gonna address these things, blah blah. Then they double down. So I don't know ultimately what I'm expecting for season three. Um, if they allow people to have more opportunities to kind of like play against, for example, like the heavy sort of like stance mix up stuff,
Mm.
that would make me happy, right? So less situations of people being locked down in situations just having to guess.
Yeah.
And make it so, for example, when you are forcing people into these stance situations, right? You have to like if you're going for example, like if you're going for like the options out of your stance, you have to keep in mind that, for example, a lot of these options are going to either whiff if they can like step out the way or something, right?
Mm.
So you have to kind of like, even though you're in a stance, you have to, you know, deliberately like sort of interact with the player, right? In terms of what they're doing. If
Yeah.
they could have more instances of that more, I'll be a happy camper,
Mm.
basically. Um, in terms of characters, if they were to bring Chloe, I don't know
New
which
year,
character
new
I would
main.
play. That would be a new new main situation again. Um, who else would I be happy for? Julia, I'd be happy for.
Mm.
Um, if they were to bring back, who, any cool male characters? You got Miguel. Miguel's pretty damn cool. Ancient Ogre. I would give him a try. Probably wouldn't main him properly, but like,
Ogre's already
you
back
know,
in the game. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, Ogre's already going to be
you
carrying.
don't.
Ah.
You know what I mean, I mean, there's multiple ogres now that are
Oh
that
yeah,
are
because
in the Tekken world,
oh yeah,
so
apparently there's just multiple ogres. It's like, oh, it's such a fucking retcon. Like, oh yeah, we had this written down like in 1997 or something. Like, no, you didn't.
yeah.
Just shut the fuck up, Harada. Like,
But now we have adjusted it so we can support waifu ogres. I mean,
oh
I have
yeah,
no problem with that. I will play her. I mean, she looks kind of cool. But like if they were to, for example, bring back Ancient Ogre, bro, I would play him for a good while.
mm,
That would be pretty sick. So,
yeah, yeah.
and I know he's like a highly requested character as well, so that would be kind of cool to see. And I think if there's any sort of time to bring back a character like that, it would be now. You literally have Jun in the game, right? You have the character that is directly related to Ogre, in that sort of capacity, right? So like that sort of dynamic between those two,
Mm.
that would go crazy, right? But I'm assuming they would probably leave that for like if they wanted to bring him back, they would probably leave that for like a final season thing, like wherever they have like written on their calendar, like okay, this year is gonna be our final season. That is probably the time frame where he will come back into the game. I feel.
Wrap everything up. Like that's it. This is the full stop. That's good. This is the final paragraph that's going to end the game.
Yeah, I feel
Mm.
like that would be like the time where they would want to introduce him into the game.
100%. Dude, I'm just gonna say this has been such a real lovely chat with you. Like I've had loads of fun with these player interviews, and it's been really, really sound. Like having a chat with you for the last half hour or so. Have you got anything or anyone you'd like to shout out as we kind of wrap things up?
Um, the usual ones. So like obviously shout out the Foundry.
Hmm.
You know, I've always wanted like, you know, a place to play Tekken locally, and it is crazy that the place that allows me to play Tekken locally is basically right at my doorstep.
Literally
You know,
outside your
it
doorstep.
is.
Literally outside your doorstep. Is it like only a few minutes walk for you?
I mean, it's literally I hop on a bus and I'm there in like 10 minutes. So
Bro,
it's
that's the
pretty.
dream. That's honestly the dream. Like anywhere, like not only is it great having like a good local, having a local that's close, having a great local that's close is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's, I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And obviously shout out to like, Craig as well and the
Hmm.
retro realm, you know. I've always wanted an arcade as well to be in Warsaw, like an actual proper arcade, not a temp in Warsaw, you know, an actual proper arcade. And it's like you can just tell that he is someone that just, loves that arcade culture
Hmm.
100%. The fact that he even, you know, gives the locals that sort of support in the first place.
Yeah,
Other places don't have to do that, and don't have to kind of like pay out of pocket to kind of provide that experience. And it's understandable, right?
yeah.
But like he actually makes the effort to do that, which is, he's like a really cool guy to me for even doing that and allowing us to have like a place for us to hang out. Um, but no, yeah, those are like the two main, peeps the two main things I would shout out. And obviously, can't forget my socials, my socials and all that stuff. I post stuff on Twitter all the time. So,
Sound bud. Look, it's been lovely chatting to you, and I'll see you at the next few locals, and I'll see you at Tilton Tap. Take it easy, bud.
alrighty, see ya.